PowerShell integrates quite well with Windows and some of the kind of deeper things in Windows that some of you may not be aware of. And I'm referring to such things as COM, the component object model, .NET, and WMI and CIM. COM is the object model that gives objects to Windows. That is to say, all of Windows is built around objects. Now, these objects can be very large and broad objects. For example, a database is an object, but they can also be smaller objects. When I'm speaking of a database, a single record in a database is also an object. And for that matter, a single field in a record in a database is also an object. Well, in the same way, Windows has objects, and they call it the component object model. And so there are COM statements, COM commands that refer to those objects, and PowerShell is capable of referring to those objects inside of Windows. Now, at the same time that PowerShell was being written, Microsoft was also converting to something called a .NET library, or a .NET model of programming. .NET is a platform, or I should say a library of code that can be used to program so that programmers don't have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. There's for example, a .NET command or a library of commands to do certain kinds of print jobs. Well, why would you need a programmer to rewrite printing if .NET can do it for you, and all they have to do is refer to that piece of library that .NET gives you? Then also there's something called WMI and CIM, Windows Management Instrumentation and Common Information Model. These are also code libraries that are built into Windows that Microsoft programmers use to reach into various parts of the computer. And in a sense, you can think of them as a database of just about everything on your computer you can imagine. And PowerShell can interface with WMI and CIM objects in order to pull pieces of information and manipulate those pieces of information from within Windows. Now, it's rather complex how it works, and I also wanted to say that WMI happens to be a mess, and so it's not as easy as you might think to discover WMI pieces that you want to refer to in PowerShell. But you certainly can, and PowerShell is capable of interfacing with all of these other technologies that are inside of Windows, even though they might be foreign to you at this point. Be aware as you move on in PowerShell and move up in PowerShell and do more scripting and management of servers, that these items, as you begin to learn them, are available to you inside of PowerShell.